is for New Edition. I'm aware, okay?
Bobby Brown is here.
I thought it was for us.
That is for New Edition. We all know.
That's why I showed up today, too, by the way. So
We were all
good.
really
We're all
excited
together
this morning.
So we wish that Whoopi were hosting the Oscars on Sunday, but she's hosting her doctors still, so I know. We hope you're getting better, Whoopi, and we'll be back as soon as possible. That's all we can say. We miss you.
We really do.
Yes.
We really miss you.
And yesterday, Jussie Smollett was released on bail, and he returned to the set of Empire to apologize for the public spectacle this has become. But this morning, producers announced they pulled him off the show for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But he still insists that he's innocent. Sonny, you talked to Mark Geragos, his lawyer, or one of his lawyers. What's the latest?
You know, Mark is a good friend of mine. I think most people know that. We had our own show together, and I think if I were in trouble, he'd be the first call that I would make. And he is going to mount a vigorous defense, and he's made it very clear that Jussie is still entitled to a presumption of innocence. And I think we do need to remember that. And so one thing that he mentioned, and I think they've made a statement, and I think it's kind of interesting. The police department here had that long press conference, and they sort of outlined all the evidence against him. And the public has convicted him, tried and convicted him.
Yes.
And that's a weird place to be. You know, if this is true, and remember, we don't know if it's true. He hasn't been tried and convicted yet. If it is true, it is shameful. It is heinous. He used police resources. People, I think victims may, you know, there's going to be a chilling effect. They may not want to come forward. And we know that hate crimes are on the rise. And people rarely lie about hate crimes. And so there is a problem here. But again, you know, for the police department to come out and lay this all out, we have to still be skeptical. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, did everybody think Casey Anthony was going to be found guilty? Yes. Did everybody think O.J. was going to be found guilty? Yes. And those people were not found guilty. And so Mark's point is, wait till the defense has its day in court.
Why do you think? Because I noticed the same thing with the police yesterday, the Chicago police, just how detailed they were every second of the way, which is, it seemed to me to be a little bit unusual, but maybe they were just trying to, they seemed emotional about it, they seemed angry, they didn't want to be taken advantage of, and they wanted it to appear like they had control of the situation. But is that a good legal case for him?
I think a lot of defense attorneys will say that it was unethical. And I know when I was prosecuting cases, I wouldn't let the other side see my entire playbook, because what's going to happen is if you get a really good defense attorney, they're going to try to rebut it. And the Chicago Police Department, let's remember, in 2016, Rahm Emanuel ordered an investigation. The Department of Justice ordered an investigation. There were many systemic failures there. It was found that it was rife with racism. They don't necessarily come to the playbook with clean hands.
Look, I think as to the question of why they put so much evidence out there and why they talked about it in such detail, a couple of things. First, they put some of the stuff out there because they wanted the public's help. They put the video, they put, you know, there was information that got out because they wanted the public's help. But also, it was Jussie Smollett putting out a lot of this information. When he gave interviews, he spoke off the record with some reporters. It was TMC, the entire thing about the red hats, about what they had said, the news, all of that.
He also spoke with our own Robin Roberts.
Exactly.
And
so
said he was the victim.
From his mouth. So I think if he, you know, part of the reason that he's getting tried in the public court, the court of public opinion, is his own fault.
That is
his own
true.
mouth.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. That's what got me the most, is when he went out publicly and spoke in that interview. If you know that if it turns out to be a hoax, how can you be so willing to talk publicly?
Well, his motive was to get a better contract, so that you had to do that publicly.
And that's what the police
Part of it is one of the things that I thought was strange is he would hand over his phone. And again, like if I'm someone who has been attacked in one way or another, I would want to find whoever did it. I would give up anything, my computer, my phones, whatever, and my records of where I was and any place. And he was, from the beginning, I think that was one of the first things that I believe you said, I don't remember, but like that the fact that he wasn't being as forthcoming as necessarily I would be if I were in that situation.
He didn't file a police report as quickly
I'm still talking, thank you. And then also, I always speak last, but he also said, I come really, really hard against 45, which is the politics that we were talking about yesterday. And you said, Anna, which I thought was actually very poignant, a lot of people feel conned by this. A lot of people who came out defending him, friends, people in the media, and I think that's why he's getting the backlash he's getting right now.
Yeah, and you know, to that point, there's something that occurred to me because I also, someone who's interviewed him and spent time with him, I sent out prayers and I was thinking about him and I felt conned and I felt embarrassed. But then I took a step back and I said, you know, I don't think that people that believed him and wanted to support someone who was purporting to be a victim should be embarrassed, because we need to believe people that are saying that they were victims of hate crimes. The person, if this is all true, that should be embarrassed is Jussie Smollett. He should be embarrassed for taking advantage
But isn't this
of our
story
kindness,
blown up a
if
little?
it's true.
I mean, all I see is this on the news now. This is the big story. It's wiped everything away until Michael Cohen talks next Wednesday. This is what we're going to hear.
I am trying to convince Joy Behar to live tweet the Michael Cohen testimony.
That'll never happen.
But you know what I would like to say? What is upsetting about this being front page news is that hate crimes are on the rise, and the thing that we're not talking about is the domestic terrorist, 49-year-old Christopher Paul Hassan, who's the U.S. Coast Guard lieutenant, a white supremacist who was hiding in plain sight, dreamed of mass murder. He plotted to target lawmakers, journalists, including my friends Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, Van Jones, Angela Davis, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and somehow, his hate is real. And we're not talking about that.
How about my two guys?
And your
Chris
two guys.
Hayes and Ari
I know, I thought of you.
Really, that's freedom of speech.
Because we worship at the cult of celebrity in this country. We have a reality television star, and it ultimately will dominate the news. That's one of the conversations we're having right now. And I do agree this should be getting as much attention.
Right? So is he going to say he's innocent also? Because his lawyer, I don't know if you just said this, but he said negative thoughts about people is not a crime.
Yeah. Well,
so is he going to get off also, this guy?
But
we'll see who his lawyers
But if you Google Mein Kampf and things like that, that is a crime. Or you're at least alerted if you're Googling like how to build a bomb and things like that, and this guy was doing.
By the way, negative.
I think you're put on a
thank
list.
God, negative thoughts about people are not a crime.
Right. Well, we don't be in jail.
We'd be in there for life.
When I was a kid, I grew up Catholic. Maybe some of you have grown up Catholic. It was a sin to have an evil thought.
No, I grew up more than I got.
There were a lot of things that were a sin when we grew up Catholic that we ended up doing.
But this guy was going to plot like a mass genocide, and we haven't heard yet. I don't think
weapons
by the president yet on this.
Weapons can't be legal.
No. Oh, we have a legal note. I'm sorry. Smollett's attorneys released a statement following saying, like any other citizen, Mr. Smollett enjoys the presumption of innocence, particularly when there has been an investigation like this one, where information, both true and false, has been reportedly leaked. Given these repeatedly leaked, sorry. Given these circumstances, we intend to conduct a thorough investigation and to mount an aggressive defense.
Okay. Coming up, our Oscar predictions. We'll be right back.